Let's check in with Jason Calacanis, angel investor and founder of Inside.com. Morning, Jason. Good to see you.
Good morning. I hope everybody's safe. Thanks for having me on the program.
Yeah. What do you think happens here?
Well, first off, obviously, we need to totally have our heads examined here in America because we literally are talking about Kombucha Girl, and this generation is completely soft. They are a generation of snowflakes who care more about their follower counts than they do about, getting STEM degrees and building important companies and being entrepreneurs and capitalists. This is a lost generation here in America, and China is laughing at us, where we actually care more about our follower counts while they care about STEM degrees and engineering degrees and starting companies and, candidly, becoming a superpower. And we're sitting here on CNBC talking about Kombucha Girl and how about your follower counts and how important that is. Give me a break.
All right.
They built a Tesla factory in under a year, Carl. It's ridiculous.
Microsoft might take some issue with our priorities being backwards, given what they've built. Would they be a good caretaker of this platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Microsoft can buy it. That's fine. Apple should not buy it. I saw Axios maybe was talking about Apple buying it. Apple has no idea how to do content moderation. So that's a terrible idea. But because Microsoft has dealt with communities, content, and having the Bing search engine, they have the ability to deal with scrubbing content and dealing with those issues. I'm not sure Apple has the DNA to be able to do this. But, our country has to take a really deep look and understand that China is absolutely going to demolish our country if we don't get our priorities straight. And that's really the bigger issue here is the relationship with China. We're changing the end of movies in America just to make an incremental couple of bucks there. We're allowing them in our app store which, obviously means that the CCP has complete access to that information. Any New York Times journalist who believes that they're not having that data is completely naive and lost their minds. Of course, the Chinese government has every piece of information. And we're sitting here talking about follower accounts while students in Hong Kong are being arrested. And when Daryl Morey, the greatest mind in basketball in our country, stands up for the people of Hong Kong, he gets admonished by other players and other owners in the NBA. It's disgraceful. We need to stand for human rights, and we need to realize that if we don't win capitalism, and if we get soft, and this generation of snowflakes cares more about their follower accounts than they actually care about building world-dominating companies, we are going to lose to a communist country that is going to have massive power over us. This is a very serious issue, and TikTok is the tip of the spear.
Jason, we talk about it all the time. We talk about it all the time, but right now I'm just mad, Carl.
I'm mad about the whole dialogue.
I get it. As are a lot of people, but the pawn in play right now is TikTok. It's unclear to me whether or not you think an outright ban a la India is appropriate or whether it can be used to establish some kind of reciprocity in China itself.
Well, I mean, that's the obvious one, Carl. If they're allowed to bring TikTok here and they're allowed to have access to all those microphones, all that location data, and let's not be naive, other countries have used location data to track Navy SEALs and elite law enforcement folks. I mean, that is what's at stake here. And I know that sounds crazy, but just do a couple Google searches about what happened with Facebook data during the Iraq and the Afghanistan wars. People were being tracked on those systems to be assassinated here. So, yes, reciprocity, which, by the way, the Chinese government will never do. And any American who goes working for TikTok, like this guy from Disney is doing, needs to have their head examined, because what's going to happen to him is what's happened to Terry Semel, which Yahoo had to worry about their employees going to jail to be tortured and re-educated in China unless they handed over dissidents, religious leaders, and people who wrote books. Okay, that's what's at stake here. This is a massive human rights issue. Absolutely, we should ban it. They should not be allowed in our stores. Now, when it comes to hardware and making cables, maybe that's an easier place for us to have engagement. But we've also got somebody in the White House right now who his style of negotiating, I don't think is going to do very well in a nuanced situation like that. If the pandemic and our reaction to that is any indication, we need to get this guy out of office and have somebody in office who can manage this, because this is the existential crisis, not only for America, it's an existential crisis for humanity and democracy and freedom.
Jason, it's David Faber. I'm not often on this show, so I don't get to listen to you. But man, you're all over the place. I don't. I mean, by the way, Kevin Mayer, the CEO of TikTok, probably looking for a new job right now, because either way, either he's getting shut down or he's getting bought by Microsoft. So that guy's probably doesn't have a job. So I wouldn't worry too much about him. But let me just come back to you on the young people thing, calling them all snowflakes and the fact that they're all interested.
Soft.
I mean, have you noticed the protests that have been unprecedented around this country and the fact that they have been populated largely by people under the age of 30 who seem to want to actually change things? I don't exactly know where you're coming from there.
Absolutely fantastic that the anti-racism protests occurred. That is a good sign for this generation. But the weak spot right now is that we are not investing in building great companies. This generation does not believe in capitalism. They believe in socialism. And we're up against a competitor. We're up against a competitor who believes in capitalism combined with communism. And by the way, that is going to roll over our version of capitalism. It's going to roll over our version of capitalism if we're not careful. And I think that we have to take it more seriously, and we have to really think about what is our relationship going to be? Because if we don't put human rights at the start of every business discussion with China, then humanity is going to flip. And we're right on the border of more people in this world living under authoritarian control than in democracy. Everything in this world is going up and to the right in a great way in terms of life expectancy and poverty going down. The one thing that's stalled is people living in democracies. And that is the existential price for the second half of our lifetime.
Jason, even with the current state of our democracy, and even with this anti-immigrant fervor that this administration has had, this is still the place that you probably want to come to try to start a business. It's still probably the place you want to come to try to get educated if you can get in. You're not going to China.
No, but you're going to Canada, or you're staying in China, or you're staying in India, because we have decided that our immigration policy is not going to be based upon how likely you are to create the next Tesla and SpaceX or become the CEO of Microsoft or Google. We're basing it on, I don't know what, some political, partisan, trying to go to people's most base instinct and fear that people are going to steal their jobs. We need to have a point-based system like Canada, like the Scandinavian countries, and like Australia. It's a very simple system. How much value are you going to provide to this society in terms of your advanced degrees? And as that goes up, your chances of getting in go up. And of course, we have some amount of slots for dissidents. But that's a very important point.